Oh, Dad,
Hmm?
I've got something really important to say, Dad. Really important. Are you listening?
Of course I'm listening, George. Absolutely, absolutely. I'm all ears. Well, here I am sitting. In fact, let me just make myself a little more comfortable there. So here I am, ready to listen. I can sit, George, and listen for ages, as long as it takes. As long as it takes. One thing I do really well is listen. Your old man is a real good listener. I'll listen and evaluate what you have to say, George. And if you want, and for all it's worth, I'll offer my humble but mature opinion or advice, depending on your requirements, George. Your dad is the big listener. In fact, my dad, your granddad Arnold, once told me, he said, "You know, son, the one thing you have going for you, that one of the more positive things going for you, is that you can listen. You're a listener. And that's a gift. Don't interrupt," he said. "Just sit quietly and listen. The ability to be able to do that is worth its weight in gold, George. Not many people can do it. Not many people can do it, I can tell you. Now, not many people can just sit back in silence and just listen. Right, George, fire away. I'm all ears." George? George? Are you asleep? Good Lord. Oh, really?
Dad,
Yes, George.
um,
You don't look very happy, George.
well, you know something, Dad?
What? What is it, George?
Well, I don't think I want to be me, Dad.
You don't want to be you? Ah.
I don't want to be me anymore.
Oh, George, that's although you're still very young, certainly a bit too young to be thinking about these kind of things. I mean, I remember when I was a little boy, I wasn't always happy in my own skin, and well, there were times when me and my friend Raymond had talked about, well, amongst loads of other things, of course, but, well, we often talked about how I've never said this before, but, well, well, but we discussed at great length how we would quite like to have been little girls. It's a very sensitive subject, George, and I do think, well, and it's obviously something that shouldn't be, well, entered into too lightly. You should talk to your mum as well, of course. I mean, you're very young, and all these type of thoughts you're having should be put on hold, in my opinion, for a few years, George. But whatever you eventually decide, George, we'll support you. We'll definitely be there for you, George.
I don't want to be a little girl, Dad.
Hmm.
I want to be a penguin.
A what?
A penguin, Dad. I've always wanted to be a penguin.
Ah. Right. Fine. Okay, and why not? Well, there we are. I thought we'd have fish for tea. How about that?
Do penguins like fish, Dad?
Oh, yes, George. They love fish. Indeed.
That sounds really nice. Really nice. Me, 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 me. Dad, are you?
I don't know yet, George. I haven't decided.
Oh, because if we...
I know, George. I know. Did you?
No.
I think we could possibly...
I just don't know, Dad. I'm thinking...
Well, I tell you what, I was about to suggest that we...
I just think that, are you...
I think I know what you're getting at, George, but I'm just not...
I don't know, Dad. I just feel that I'm feeling that I'm just not really ready to... when you...
I know, George, I know. Well, we've got to kind of think about the whole thing quite...
Yes, I know, Dad, I know.
You see, it's just...
Can you...
I can't really sort of imagine...
I know, Dad, it's going... Well, what we could...
I think what we could do is...
If you just let me...
I think what we could do is possibly, well, I don't know. I'm just, oh, it's a tough one, this, George. It's really tough.
I know, Dad, I know, but, Dad?
Yes?
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
I don't know. What are you talking about?
Well, I don't actually know, George. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh.
Right. Well, I'll be downstairs if you need me, George.
All right, Dad. See you later.
Bye, George. Oh, it's certainly very cold out there, George. You're going to need a jumper.
I don't think I will, Dad. I'm fine.
What about some wellies?
No, my plimsolls are all right, Dad, thanks.
And what about George, the wind is really blowing out there. You're going to need a hat or scarf at least.
And, Dad, I'm much stronger than you think, actually.
Right, well, don't say I didn't ask you, and, well, here we go then.
I'm really looking forward to getting out and having this walk, Dad.
Yep, so am I. So let me just open the door and... Oh!
It's quite chilly. Oh!
Just shut the door and we'll just make our way to the park. If you can just hold my hands whilst we go towards the road.
It's really windy, isn't it, Dad?
It really is windy, George. It's very windy.
It's actually quite cold, isn't it?
Yeah, I did warn you, George. I did warn you.
I wish I'd worn my hat, because my head feels really cold, actually.
Well, you can wear my hat, I suppose. Go on, put it.
Oh, thanks, Dad. Oh, yeah, it's really... Can I have your scarf as well, Dad? It's really freezing.
Yes, go on then. You can have my scarf. Good Lord, it's not as though I didn't warn you, George, what the weather was like. I know it's blimmin' freezing out here. God dear.
Oh, I forgot to wear my coat.
You didn't forget, George. You said you didn't want it.
Can I wear your coat, Dad? Or can I? Well,
I'm going to be very cold, George, if I give you mine. Go on then. Go.
Oh, thanks, Dad. Put the scarf on it there. Oh, my feet are really cold in these plimsolls.
Well, you did insist on wearing just your plimsolls. I told you could have worn this. I've got these lovely furry boots on, George.
I can't. Can I just put this coat on?
It's quite chilly. It's quite chilly now, George.
Can you carry me, Dad? Because it's a bit muddy.
Carry you, George? Carry you? You're a big boy now.
Can't you? Just when we get to the park, I'll stop running around and think.
Oh, come on then. Good grief, you're so heavy now, George. God, it's freezing.
We'll get to the park soon.
Actually, George, I don't think I can get to the park. I'm gonna... Oh, good Lord, it's... I think I'm going to get frostbite at this rate. I'm going back to the house, George.
No, I'm really nice and warm now, Dad. Can't we just go to the park and I'll play in the park for just half an hour and then...
No, George. It's freezing. I've got to get back.
Oh, Dad, it's not fair. It's not fair.
George, really, it's really... Good Lord, it's so cold.
Oh, Dad.
Me and My Dad is an open fridge production produced by Alex Castle and Mungo Pierce. Music is by Michael Ball. All sketches written and performed by Thomas Kett.